listening to the Savvy Musician Show with Leah McHenry, and this is your secret weapon for success in the new music industry.
Welcome to the Savvy Musician Show. This is C.J. Ortiz. I'm the branding mindset coach here at the Savvy Musician Academy, joined once again by, let's see, what will I call her today? Princess Leah. She reigns the marketing galaxy. Leah, how you doing?
Doing wonderful, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's good to see you.
Nice to see you since an hour ago.
Yeah, right? Good to be seen. Yeah, we should probably do some recording. I don't know if we can or can't do the recording of the banter that we have before and after and in between these podcasts. It's our chance to put off the business hat sometimes and just kind of catch up on other stuff. So anyway, I'm excited about this episode today because we're kind of, in a way, Leah, continuing what we talked about in the past 3 episodes. You got in depth into the crowdfunding stuff, but still after the crowdfunding, there comes the actual album launch, and the preparation that you go through for the actual album launch is extensive in and of itself. So I'm excited about the fact that you're going to break some of that down today. Before we get into that, let me just share this real quick student spotlight. This is from one of our Tom students, and Tom is the online musician program. Colin, I'm going to say Catano, and he writes, when over 2 years it took me to get lead costs to stay this low consistently. This means I'm finally getting to know my audience aesthetic and what they like and want to see from me much better. 63 cents a lead over 7 days. I'm super stoked about this, ready to split test my landing page to raise my conversion rate, and then split test ads to get lead cost even lower. Couldn't have done this without SMA.
That's awesome, Colin. I know you've been working really hard for a really long time, so I love hearing about your progress.
When I read something like this and the jargon, which you and I know very well, I think of the people out there listening to this podcast, which some of that probably sounded like Greek.
You're like, what? What? Split test what?
Split test, landing page, conversion rates. What is all that stuff? Well, you'd have to listen to every podcast we've ever done in order to know what all that means.
You know, we should do an episode where I just explain some of these terms. That would probably be
We'll call
useful.
it the glossary episode.
Yeah. Well, you know, it would be really informative because there's so many different terms and names for different things that I think it's a good idea. So we'll write that one down.
Yeah. I think that would be helpful for a lot of people. But short answer is Colin is making some progress at getting the money he's spending on his advertising in order to get people to get on a list or what have you is getting cheaper and cheaper per conversion. So he's spending a bunch of money to reach a bunch of people, and however many people respond, that gives him an average rate of what he's spending, his cost per conversion, and he's getting those lower. And so, again, with something like the Tom program, Leah, people are learning how to get out there and start promoting themselves and learning even more how to keep their costs down and doing that. So that's a real bonus.
That's right.
Very happy for you, Colin. Well, Leah, preparing for your album launch, every time we unpack some of these things, I know you could go on for days in depth. And so we're not going to do another 3-part episode, but we may spend a couple episodes talking a little bit more about your album launch. But first of all, how is that going?
Well, it's going really well. The last few episodes we recorded, my crowdfunding campaign was just wrapping up. And yeah, we wrapped up around just over the 83,500 and something mark. So I was really happy with that, especially being that it was an 8-song holiday album, something different from what I normally do. And I wasn't sure how my fans would receive it. So what we do know is that it didn't matter what platform I was on, because I did just a little over that amount the last time. And I did that one on Indiegogo. We talked about platforms. We talked about all of those kind of pros and cons in the last episodes. Now is when all the work kind of begins. So that was all the heavy promotion and marketing. Now is the follow-up, all the fulfillment of these orders, and preparing for a very busy, crazy fourth quarter of the year. And the reason it's so busy is the way I'm doing launches is I'm not just doing a crowdfunding launch. That's basically launch number 1. launch number 2 is the pre-order phase before the actual album launch, which in my case will be November 15th. So launch number 2 is the pre-order launch, which, how is it different than crowdfunding? Well, I'm basically going to have everything in stock at my warehouse. I'll also come out with some different products. I'll go a little more in detail about that as we move into this section a little more in depth. But launch number 3 is essentially the actual album launch. It's available everywhere. People don't have to wait for it anymore. It's out. Then after that, because of the timing of this album launch on November 15th, right? What's the big thing that happens in November? Well, in the US here, you have Thanksgiving, and that is the big kickoff to Black Friday. And so one thing I wasn't really thinking of too much earlier in the year when I planned my album launch about was how close to Black Friday my album launch really is. And now that it's set in stone, I have to take all of that into account as well. I have to take into account Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the holidays, leading basically all the way up to the end of the year. And that's why I want to talk in this episode about how I'm preparing for my pre-launch and actual album launch. That's kind of launch 2 and 3. And then after that, the next episode, I want to talk about specifically more what I'm doing for the holiday sales. I want to split it up because it is so much. There's so much going on. So that's kind of where we can begin.
Yeah, pre-launch, pre-order, it's all it's all happening before the actual album is released, which again, you said about November 15th. So we're getting close to that. That's just over a month.
Yeah, that's right. So if people are wondering how long is my pre-order, pre-launch period, it's just 2 weeks. So November 1st will be the beginning. It's a Friday. It's going to be the beginning of my pre-order time. So the first thing you have to think about when doing some kind of a pre-order, whether it's a crowdfunding campaign, because some people just do a crowdfunding campaign and then they just do the actual album launch. No one says you have to do a pre-launch, but I like to do this. I like to maximize this. The fact is that there's money to be made in a pre-order right before the actual launch. And so the question you have to ask is, what can you offer? What kind of incentive can you offer to make someone want to buy the album before the actual launch date? That's different from maybe a crowdfunding campaign and different from the actual album launch. What can you offer? So there's really only a couple options in my case, and you can be as creative as you want with this. In my case, it will be either access to some kind of bonus or something that they can't get in the future, or some kind of a discount on either select items or whatever you wanted, a bundle or something. And I'm actually going to do both in my pre-launch. So for the 2-week period, it's going to be, I have a surplus of autographed digipacks, so physical CDs that I didn't sell during the crowdfunding launch. And so that's a perfect opportunity to sell the rest of those because they're limited. So what's nice is, because this is a 2-week period of time, I've got built-in scarcity, which speaks to the quantity of items, and I've got built-in urgency, which speaks to the length of time that something is available. So I have found over and over and over again with my audience, and this could be true for your audience, it could be true for even just the music audience in general. I haven't proven this yet. But at least with my audience, that any kind of promotion I run with built-in scarcity, built-in urgency, like true urgency and scarcity, tends to work very well. So limited runs of things, limited number of items of things, limited time they can get something, tends to work very well with my audience. It tends to work well with, I think, probably general audiences in marketing all over the world, but at least in the music world, I have found this to be true. So I am trying to be as creative as I can in this 2-week pre-launch time period. So I'm going to offer however many autographed digipacks I have left over, which may be 500 of them or whatever it is. And then I will probably offer some kind of a small discount on certain items or bundles that we're going to offer that weren't offered in the crowdfunding campaign. So we have to come up with all new stuff. So that's another thing This is why we have modules in our Superfan System Elite on how to do print on demand, which apps to use, how to do this all on Shopify, blah, blah, blah. Because you need to be able to put things up fairly quickly and get it out there. Also, send yourself samples of some of these items. Make sure the quality assurance and make sure you like it. You also want to take photos of yourself and all these kind of things that help sell the product. So that's another thing I'm doing. And the third thing I'm doing, which will really help incentivize to get people on my email list before this pre-launch period and during the pre-launch period, is I'm going to do a giveaway. So it's like get on my email list, and you will get early access to limited edition items. You're going to get access to percentage off, and you'll be entered to win a bundle, like a high dollar amount bundle. So it's really worth it for them to do it. And then they're going to get blasted with emails. And that's the other thing. I can talk about this all day about how we don't email enough. But anyways, this is a lot of information I'm giving. This is normally the kind of information I would reserve even for our elite students. But I really want to tell you guys, anybody who's listening, it takes this level of creativity and planning and forethought to do this kind of revenue. It really does. And I just want to give you real world examples of exactly what I'm doing, not so you can go out and just copy and paste it. You can't. My audience is not your audience. You can't just copy and paste what I'm doing. I want it to infuse you with principles that you can take and go, oh, okay, so what I need to be thinking about is not, what's the items Leah is doing? Or what are her designs like? Oh, who's the person who did her lyric video? Can I get the name? Instead of thinking about that, I want you to think about, she talked about urgency and scarcity. What do the concepts look like? And what does it mean for me if I were to go do this? How can I use scarcity and urgency in my pre-launch, in my crowdfunding campaigns? That will make you way more money than trying to copy exactly what I'm doing.
And that's, I think, an important note, because people do kind of get fixated on some of these details, which are important. We're not saying those things are not important, but the things that are going to really convert are going to be the scarcity and urgency. That's just direct marketing, guys. It's just the way it works. You might be uncomfortable with it now. You can get used to it. You will become more comfortable. Now, Leah, which do you feel is your better source for marketing? Is it going to be your social media? Is it going to be your email? You mentioned email and really ramping it up in this. Again, this is a 2-week period, right? You said?
Mm-hmm.
So this is very limited. So there's not a lot of time for data gathering and that sort of thing. You have to kind of go for the jugular, so to speak, during that period. So I know you're going to be firing on all fronts. Which one do you feel like is going to pull the most for you?
Well, because my campaign ended a couple weeks ago and I've got basically a month here in between the next big campaign, which is the pre-order campaign, 2-week period, I am already building my list. A bunch of people will unsubscribe when you're doing a campaign like crowdfunding because I'm sending so many emails. Totally normal, par for the course, get over it. It doesn't offend me. But I'm building my email. Some people might want to resubscribe. So I start showing them ads now. Hey, get on the early bird list. You're going to get all these benefits. Here's all the benefits and what it's going to do for you. And this is another skill that I really want to infuse people with, in the principle of thinking about what is in it for them, because nobody cares about me. They only care about themselves. What's in it for them? So I lead with what's in it for them. You're going to get this. You're going to get that. So I'm already kind of rebuilding my emails a little bit. Not that I lost so many people, but it's just a fact. Like a certain percentage of people will unsubscribe, normal. So I'm in the time between then and the next big launch 2 and 3, I'm reinfusing my email list. And then when it comes time to launch that campaign, it will be a mixture. Basically, my big 3 is organic social, paid traffic, and email list. Those are my big, it's like my trifecta of marketing. So I always use organic social media, and that will never go away. What's cool is that if you see something that's worked really well in organic social media, like let's say I do a video or a photo and it just gets really good engagement that I wasn't expecting, I can then use that and turn it into an ad. When you know how to do these sorts of things, it's really easy. You can turn it into an ad. I can go into my ad manager, find the post, and it's not like boosting a post at all. It's a completely different thing, but I can turn it into an ad and make it very targeted. I can show it to my email list. I could show it to new people, but typically during a launch, I'm not looking to bring in new people. I'm looking to market to the people I've already built, the audience I've already acquired, and they've been following me for a while now. And especially moving into the holiday sale season, November and December, I am not trying to build my email list at that point with new people. I am strictly marketing to people that are already following me and don't know who I am. It's far too expensive in those months. And so you'll see, I mean, they are the most competitive advertising months of the entire year. That means, Coca-Cola and all the big brands and all the big people, all your competitors, even the labels and stuff, a lot of these big companies have ad budgets and they are required to spend those ad budgets. And when it gets to the end of the year, they actually have to blow out the rest of their ad budget. Believe it or not, they actually do. They don't just save it, they actually spend it. And so they're spending it all at the end of the year. Plus, we all know that's the biggest commerce time of the year. That's when people are pulling out their wallets and credit cards everywhere to buy Christmas gifts and just all of this stuff. So it is so competitive. It will be the most expensive time of the year. You don't want to be spending all your money on cold audiences, on people who don't know who you are. This is the time to capitalize on all your hard work and that you've been doing all year long and reel in all of these warm audiences. And it's time to show your ads and organic posts and emails to them. So that's my trifecta: organic social, paid ads, especially Facebook and Instagram ads are what I'm focusing on, and email.
So are the ads that you're running, both organic and paid, are they driving people to an opt-in, or are they driving people to the actual pre-order offer?
So when I go to do my pre-order during that phase, so we'll probably have a couple of different campaigns going. I will have one trying to just notify all my fans, say people following me on my page, people who follow me on Instagram, hey, you can still join the early bird list pretty much until the day before the big launch. But I'll also be showing people who are on my list, who are been tagged as they're on the early bird list. I'm going to show those exact people, not only emails, not only social posts, I'm going to show them ads so I'm top of mind during this period. So this gets a little bit techie, a little bit ninja, but there is something called dynamic custom audiences. And all that means is that when somebody joins my email list, because of the type of software I use and because of their capabilities, I can sync that specific audience. So the early bird list, I can sync it with Facebook and say, Facebook, every time someone joins my early bird list, I want you to add that name to a specific small little audience, and only those people, nobody else except these people who join that list. And then I want you to show those people my ads, these specific ads that I've written. So that's pretty awesome. If that just went completely over your head, you have no idea what I'm talking about, just know that you're not alone. It is a little bit techie, and it's something that you will eventually learn to do in the future. If you decide to ever work with us, like, this is the stuff that you will learn. And if you're just like, oh, I'm so not a techie person, just know that I'm not either. I really am not. You just learn the stuff you got to learn to make it work. And when there's money on the other side of it, it becomes pretty fun pretty quick. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a reason to be in the elite program, I think, because it does get, people think, in fact, somebody had said in one of our team meetings recently that a record label couldn't figure out what you were doing and the success you were having, and use the term actually, well, then it must be witchcraft. Now, of course,
yeah.
we have heard mostly on our own channels here, well, it must be a scam, or it must be this, it must be that. No, ladies and gentlemen, it is technical. Okay, so yeah, I mean, technical things to the unlearned can appear as magical or witchcraft, but I can assure you It isn't. Now, you mentioned 2 other phases to this.
Yeah, so then there is the actual album launch, ta-da, and it's now out. It's available everywhere. Go buy it, go stream, blah, blah, blah. I really don't like to bet on that one day and like what happens in that first or second week. I want to pretend like that day doesn't exist. I want to work as hard as I can during my crowdfunding campaign and my pre-launch as though my life depends on it, as though launch day, like nobody's going to buy anything on that day. And that way, that just puts me in the right frame of mind, the right head space to maximize my sales. And then there are a percentage of people who just do hold out until launch day. For some reason, there is this percentage of people. But I try to make it juicy enough and attractive enough and incentivized enough that most people, I'm hoping, would buy stuff beforehand during the crowdfunding and during the pre-launch. And if I've done well there, I know I've done a good job, because at the end of the day, there is going to be a large amount of people who buy on the day or the first week that it's out. And even after all this, there's still going to be a fragment and a segment of people who didn't even know you had a new album out. Like even a month later, like they somehow did not get the memo. They didn't get the emails. Just recently I had a Facebook post and someone just said, "Oh my goodness, you have a new album coming out soon?" I had no idea. I'm like, where the heck were you? And it's just because even with paid ads, even with organic, somehow still people aren't seeing it. And this is why I want you to stop worrying about bugging people too much, because I promise you, they're not seeing it as much as you think they are. They're not even seeing a fraction of what you're putting out there. So you can relax and do way more than you are and not worry about offending people.
So you've got a pre-order, you've got the actual launch, right? Well, back up to the crowdfunding, pre-order, the actual launch. Now we're into just an open cart, so to speak, where just you can buy as at any time. There's no more scarcity or urgency then at that point. So
well, I do have something up my sleeve. That's what I was going to say.
So unless there's something else here.
I do have something up my sleeve, but I can't talk about it yet. We will do maybe in a couple episodes from now, because I can't let the secret out. I can't let the cat out of the bag just yet. But what I will tell you, here's what I can say. I can tell you that the other thing I've discovered about maximizing sales is to not show your hand of cards all at once. So don't do it during a crowdfunding campaign. Don't do it during a launch, meaning always have something else that you're going to bring out that people don't know about just yet. So even if it's just one item, I have something up my sleeve that my fans don't know about yet. And I haven't determined exactly when I'm bringing it out. It might be, I might actually start it during the pre-orders just because I don't know how it's going to go. And I really don't know what to expect because I've never offered anything like this. Or I might save certain things for later. I haven't fully determined it yet, but this is what I know is like people love new. If I offered the same things during my album launch on November 15th that I offered during my crowdfunding campaign, it's old news. They've already seen it. They're over it. I got to have something new. So what I can tell you is there will be, for example, during the pre-launch, I will have a dedicated page to just an Ancient Winter collection. That's the name of my album, Ancient Winter. There'll be a collection of new stuff that they didn't see before. So there will be a new t-shirt design that wasn't offered in the previous campaign. There will be some mugs and some like a hat, and there will be some things that are offered that were not offered before. And then, like I said, I have a secret item that I can't talk about yet, but stay tuned. You'll hear about it. I have a lot to say. So I think the important thing is keep them guessing, keep them on their toes, plan far enough ahead that you realize, okay, well, what else could I do that would delight my fans? That's a really important question. What can I do? I mean, if you're in any business, how can I delight my customers? I asked myself that last year when we were done traveling and I was doing the Quest launch, my last album launch. And for example, the digital download, I put an Easter egg video in the zip file that they got with all these different song files and formats. Something they weren't expecting. It was a personalized thank you video, kind of coming from the heart. And I didn't tell them it was going to be in there. And just small little gestures like that create an experience. Small little gestures like that will delight your fans and make you really memorable and make them want to support you and create a kind of loyalty that you would never even imagine. Things like that.
Well, yeah, and I can back up from this and look at the whole thing and just see the overall approach. There's so much, obviously, technique, method, and tool being used here, but it all stems from that, the person, the artist, and that artist connection with his or her audience. And so you can do that, ladies and gentlemen. You can achieve these very same things. Yes, there's a lot to learn on the technical side, but that's the easy part, because you can have all those things in place, and if you don't have the good music, if you don't have the relationship with your fans, if you don't know what you're about, if you don't know who you're targeting, if you don't know the message, the culture, and all these sorts of things, all the tools in the world, are not going to make it work. So you need both and so that's, again, something you can get at the Elite Academy. But you wanted to offer them something kind of cool today. Why don't you tell them about that?
Yeah. So I know so many of you have album launches coming up, or you're in the middle of one, or you're thinking about doing your next crowdfunding campaign. I get a lot of questions about the tools that I use. And there's one very simple one that I used to pretty much plan everything. And I'm looking at it right now. We use it in Savvy Musician Academy, and I use it specifically for album launches and all my holiday planning, all of this stuff. And I made a tutorial, just a little walkthrough showing you how I use the tool for album launches, for crowdfunding, what kind of stuff is in this tool, and just how I kind of map it and plan it out. And you can watch that walkthrough. It's only 15 minutes long. And if you want to use the tool, there's a link there. I don't get paid for it or anything. I just want to be able to help you guys out. You can go to savvymusicianacademy.com/planning tool. So we'll put that in the show notes. You can go get it there, or just type it in your browser, and let me know if you liked it, because I'm pretty sure this will be useful and maybe fascinating to you, and maybe this is something you'll incorporate.
Awesome. Thank you, Leah. Now, guys, do us a favor. Go right now from this podcast, go to your player, and be sure to leave a review for this show. If they have the offer of stars, give us as many stars as you can possibly click on. But then again, write out a review. We'd love to hear from you. If you're in any one of our groups, the free mastermind group or the student group for Tom or our elite group, please go into those groups. Leave your comments and questions there about the podcast. We read all of your testimonies and comments, and we love to share them in our team meetings, so they're a huge encouragement to us. So leave a review on the podcast today. And Leah, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. See you guys next time.
This episode was sponsored by the Superfan System Elite program here at Savvy Musician Academy. If you are looking to scale your existing music business and you're looking to get into advanced digital marketing, such as email marketing, funnels, e-commerce, Facebook ads, and more, and you're looking to build a real profitable online music business, book a call with our team at www.callsma.com. We would love to speak with you for about 30 minutes and see how we can help you. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for more episodes, and we'll see you next time.